Greetings and salutations. This is Abe Abdelhadi with the short blast of the bitter truth. And just going to jump right into it here for a few minutes. And, I don't know, man. I think when you look at what we're getting ready to do, well, first of all, as Sheldon Woolden said a while ago, we have been taken over in a coup d'etat. We just don't know it. It was a corporate coup d'etat in slow motion. And when you look at all of the state-run media, which I'll cover in another little segment here, but when you look at what the state-run media talking points are, doesn't anybody marvel at how similar it is to each other? Fox News and MSDNC are on the same page when it comes to Venezuela. Isn't that amazing? They don't even do news anymore. Remember when they used to have reporters out in the field? Like the real field? When's the last time you saw that? You see some stand-up at the White House. You see some stand-up in front of an embassy. But you never see you never see like a real journalist out there anymore, unless they're like working for, BBC or Al Jazeera, or it's like the independent media, which is all over YouTube. I mean, you got people like Abby Martin, out in Venezuela, in Palestine, in these places, in the Gaza Strip, getting shot at, wearing helmets and the whole nine yards, getting chased around by the Colombian government because they're reporting on the murders of campesinos and things like that. You don't see that anymore. Now they rip off the facts. And they don't even think critically, and they don't even do journalism. They don't even make phone calls to confirm the fucking report from the CIA. It's like when Dick Cheney basically allowed Judith Miller to take dictation at the New York Times of a story that he leaked, and then he went ahead and did all the news shows going, I don't know where the story came from. The WMDs, excuse me. And they're just like complicit, willingly. It's like the Batman has to chase the Joker all the time. Because if he doesn't, or if he catches the Joker, there's no more Batman. Batman's got to chase the Joker. You can't not have a Joker. So you got to chase somebody. Otherwise, it's over. On a side note, it's kind of like religion. Christians love to tell me that Jesus is going to come back and I'm going to be sorry. I'm like, well, if Jesus was so great and God was so great, why don't they just kill the devil a while ago? If the devil is so evil. Oh, well, it's all about God's timing. It's all about God's timing. Really? Okay. Or how about it's that you guys are full of shit. And if the Batman doesn't continually chase the Joker, then asses are not in seats on Sundays giving you guys money. Because that's basically it. Does anybody really believe that the Pope is from the lineage of Peter, descended, and he honestly gets visions from God to determine what? That it's okay to hide a bunch of fucking pedophile criminals and not put them in jail? And just move them around from church to church like chess pieces for 400 fucking years? That's okay? No, religion is bullshit, and so is our government. So, for example, they keep peddling the same crap, kind of like religion, where we never learn the same lessons and everyone gets paid, right? Rachel Maddow makes like $7 million a year. It's like $30,000 a day. Sean Hannity makes, I think, about the same, if not more. He's been on longer. Bill O'Reilly, when he got canned, I think he's back. I'm not sure, but he was making like $5-6 million a year, and he had book deals up the ass. But they keep pimping the same crap, the same various fuck-ups, and nobody pays attention. Venezuela, top of their lungs. Nobody pays attention to Chile, for example, or the Congo. Patrice Lumumba was murdered 10 months after he was elected president. Before they killed him, he was forced to eat his speech, by the so-called rebels that were totally CIA funded. And this is what's funny. In the moment, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. Okay, first of all, it's a conspiracy fact. Know how I know? Because then history tells me that I'm right. And history told us that there's no WMDs. And history told us that we went ahead and knocked out Gaddafi because he got off the dollar, right? And this was after he gave up his nuclear weapons in 2003. So you think Kim Jong-un isn't paying attention? If I was that kid, I wouldn't give up my fucking weapons. And I'm not in support of Kim Jong-un. I think he's just, spoiled, rotten little fucking dictator. But it's their country. None of our fucking business. Because here's a fact that people don't like to talk about at cocktail parties because it makes them uncomfortable. But the United States supports 73% of the world's dictators. We are the number one purveyor of terror on this earth. We occupy 80% of the world right now. So it's amazing to me that people actually have the temerity to act like this is, a new thing with Venezuela. It's the same fucking script. 1973, Chile. Salvador Allende was duly elected in Chile, but he wouldn't play ball with Anaconda Copper and basically the American copper industry. He wanted to nationalize copper and create programs for his people. What do? Knocked him out, via Henry Kissinger and Richard Nixon. So when Hillary Clinton is saying, "Oh, I'm friends with Henry Kissinger," yeah, great, you did the same shit in Libya that he did in Chile, you fucking bitch. But not to get too down the Libya hole for a second, we install Augusto Pinochet in 1973, General Augusto Pinochet, murderous fucking piece of shit who goes on a tear and is there for almost 20 years, kills hundreds of thousands of people, if not at least tens of thousands of people. And what happens? Not a goddamn thing. He dies of old age, right? So why don't we pay attention to, Panama twice, Ecuador, El Salvador, Chile, Brazil, all these places that we touch, Korea, Vietnam, everything we've touched for the last 70 years has turned to abject shit. And so but we always pitch the same narrative, always pitch the same story. It's Batman chasing the Joker, Batman chasing the Joker. We're going in there for democracy. We're going in there for human rights. No, we're not. No, we're not. We have this inverted totalitarianism. When I say inverted, because, and this isn't my quote, I got this from Chris Hedges, but think about this. Totalitarianism, the way we know it, the old Russia, Stalin version of totalitarianism, oppressive, we're oppressed, but we don't even know it because we got our faces in our fucking screens all the time. We're on social media all the time. I don't know anybody that's not on social media of some kind. I take that back. I know 4 people that literally don't have an account. My one brother does not have an account. His wife does, but he does not do this stuff. And a couple of people. Everyone else is on it in some way. So you're glued to your screens, getting pitched the narrative, getting sold high-end gossip, and told that it's news. Right? Like, really, does it matter that the president's teabagging a stripper, or that he was, in the same guest box at the Super Bowl with Robert Kraft, because the same chick that gave him a rub and tug is the same chick that might have given the president a rub and tug? Is that anything to do with the failed tariffs of the last year and a half? Is that anything to do with the fact that China's getting off the dollar? They created a petro yuan. And no, this hasn't been going on since the 70s. China getting off the dollar is very recent, and they created a petro yuan. Many countries are cashing in U.S. debt. That's a fucking fact, and that's news that you don't see on the mainstream media, because then they got to cover how fucked we are. Then they got to cover that we've got 15 million starving kids in this country. Then they got to cover the homelessness problem in this country, 40% of whom have a job, by the way. They won't do that. It's easier to create another fucking war and get everybody all bent out of shape and get their panties in a bunch about the poor people of Venezuela when they're anything but. Are they awesome? No, probably not. But you know what doesn't help? 105 fucking sanctions against a country and stealing their gold that they have in British banks because BP is not allowed to play ball with Venezuelan oil, to take Citgo, which is a Venezuelan company. That's like us freezing Toyota's assets in Japan. Sorry, Japan, you can't get the Toyota or Nissan or Suzuki money because we're keeping it. We're doing that with Venezuela right now. And then we wonder why they're having economic problems. Now, did they make a mistake 20 years ago, 15 years ago by just counting on oil? Sure, they probably did. We make a lot of mistakes. We fuck up all the time. In fact, between Clinton and Bush and Obama and Trump, I could tick off their sins by rote in each administration. So it's our business. Is China and Russia going to invade us? No, it wouldn't make any kind of sense. But if you need the Joker for Batman to chase, you got to make up another thing. Otherwise, we got to look at our real problems. And as James Baldwin said, the biggest problem with this country is we refuse to acknowledge our sins, and we think we're the ideals, and that creates the psychosis that we have. And that's why we're so goddamn right-wing. And even the so-called left news media, what left? They talk in that same technocratic, effete, fucking bullshit language of political correctness and multiculturalism. And I'm sorry, without social and economic justice, you ain't got shit. I don't give a crap that I got a multicultural Taco Bell or a multicultural McDonald's. They don't have any benefits. They're making they're making minimum wage, which we're never going to make to $15 an hour, a living wage. And we begrudge these people who drive cabs and clean our hotel rooms and make food as though they're beneath us. God forbid we pay them a decent wage, and we've created an atmosphere where the oligarchy can just have their shit made overseas, no problem, and sell it back here, no problem, not understanding that 50% of the working Americans make under 30 grand a year. 50% of people with a job. So before you go, oh, well, they're just lazy. Fuck you. We ship their jobs overseas. Oh, they should pick themselves up by their bootstraps. Yeah, maybe they should go sell real estate. But in the meantime, you want to sell real estate in Detroit? You want to sell real estate in Anderson, Indiana? You want to sell real estate in West Virginia? You want to sell real estate in Scranton, Pennsylvania? You should look those cities up. And that's kind of about that. So again, we need Batman chasing the Joker. And as long as you fucking believe this shit and as long as you watch, you're equally complicit. And if this crap makes you uncomfortable, it's supposed to. Sleep tight.